What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Gen B. I am your host, Zoomer Cincy, and today I'm going to be making another episode about the college football rankings dashboard that I vibe coded. If you didn't see the first episode that I made about this, just check out the last video before this. I basically built this with Claude, Sonnet 4.5 and 4.6, and since last week I've made a lot of changes to it and improvements. And I want to go ahead and show that to y'all and preview the top 25 rankings for the preseason. And then kind of give you my plan with how I want to use this during the season. And then at the end, if I have time, if that doesn't take too long, I'm going to show you the other dashboard that I've been building with Claude, which is for Bitcoin mining. So without further ado, let's go ahead and reveal the top 25 rankings. One thing that I'm thinking about adding is like another tab that sits back here that's like a reveal tab, and it does like the little ESPN thing where like I click and it'll do like a little animation on the screen and then show me who's 25th, and then I click again and it does an animation and it shows me who's 24th. So like maybe that'll be the next thing I work on. But let's go ahead and start with this preview of the rankings. And in case you're wondering, the way that my ranking system works is that everything is decided on the field. So the rankings for the next season are starting where the last season ended. There's no adjustments made for who has great recruiting classes, who lost who, Texas being in the top 5 because they're Texas. Like that doesn't happen. You got to go earn it on the field. And so the rankings are going to be for the preseason where the last season ended. Just for context. So where did last season end? I have Washington, number 25. And you know what? Because this is preseason, we can go back to last year's history tab and you can have context and see the points over here on the right. So you can see exactly where everyone was. So this actually goes through all of the 136 FBS teams for last season, but let's just do the top 25. So in 25th, we have Washington with 6.15 points. And in case you're wondering what a team score is, it's the average of all of their game scores. So I have certain attributes that my rankings look at. How good was the team that they played? How good is the conference that the team that they played is in? Because a team with 2 losses in the SEC is different than a team with 2 losses in the MAC. What was the point differential of your game? Was it a conference game or a non-conference game? And where was your game? So those are the things I look at in a win. And in a loss, it's similar. You get a base penalties just for losing. And then where was the opponent ranked that you lost to? What was their conference? What was the differential? And where was the game? So similar things here. But that's how the scores are calculated. And then the team score is just the average of all of their game scores. So in 25th, we had Washington at 6.15 points. In 24th, we had Iowa with 6.73 points. In 23rd, we had Houston at 6.98 points. In 22nd, we had USC at 7.26 points. 21st, Duke, 8.09 points. 20th, Texas, 9.16 points. 19th, Vanderbilt, 9.26 points. 18th, Virginia, 10.27 points. And then we got Oklahoma in 17th at 10.45 points. The Naval Academy at 16th with 11.05 points. Alabama in 15th with 11.75 points. Texas A&M at 14th with 12.19 points. Notre Dame in 13th at 12.6 points. And then we have North Texas in 12th with 13.1 points. James Madison in 11th with 13.77 points. Tulane in 10th with 13.84 points. Utah at 9th at 14.7 points. BYU in 8th with 14.91 points. Ohio State in 7th with 17.74 points. Ole Miss in 6th with 20.22 points. Texas Tech in 5th with 20.42 points. Georgia in 4th with 20.63 points. Miami in third with 20.79 points, just being edged out by Oregon, who came in second with 20.97 points. And then Indiana in first, the national champion, with 43.51 points. So that's where we begin. All the FBS rankings will begin where they ended. So I'll just do a little quick scroll down here so you can see all of the teams and what the order is. And then the two FBS teams that were added, Sacramento State and North Dakota State, they won't be here in the 2025 final rankings, but we are adding them to the bottom of the FBS rankings starting next season, so they'll be 137 and 138. So here's just the rankings and the final score for their team last season. Florida State, number 86. That's funny. North Carolina, 104. Bill Belichick. And in last place, it was UMass with negative 35.75 points. Didn't win a single game. And then if I just go over here to the full FBS rankings, so this is like current rankings. And so this has North Dakota State and Sacramento State at the bottom. And the way I decided who was going to be 137 and who was 138 was just who is in the better conference for now. And like this will adjust throughout the season when they start playing games. But just to start the season, I had North Dakota State above Sacramento State because they joined a stronger conference. And we do re-rank the conferences after each week. So the conference score, which you can see now is 0 for all of them, is the average score of all of the team averages. And so at the end of each week, the conferences will get their new scores based on the scores of the teams in their conference, and then they'll actually re-tier each week. So like the independents, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to treat the independents. I've always just like treated them as their own conference, but then all their games will be considered non-conference. So even if Notre Dame and UConn played each other, it'd be treated as a non-conference game. But since there's only 2 teams and Notre Dame did so well last year, the independents are treated as a tier 1 conference, which I'm fine with because like Notre Dame is a tier 1 team in that situation. So it's just weird seeing independents as tier 1, but yeah, that's kind of just how I'm treating it now. Unfortunately, the 2026 schedule is not yet available from collegefootball.org, so I don't have that yet. But if you look here, the schedule feature is pretty cool. Since my first video, I was able to add the gambling lines for each game, which update automatically for future games. So if the line's changing, that'll change in my schedule, which is pretty sick. And you can filter by any of these filters. So you can filter by all FBS teams or ranked teams, and then you can filter by any conference or any team. And you can filter by any week, including conference championships, Army, Navy, bowl games. And, that's one thing I actually need to add is to split out the bowl games. So let's make a live update right now. So here's what I mean by we need to split out the bowl games. Actually, you know what? I kind of like the bowl games as they are here. And then having, so it groups all the bowl games into one option here. And then if you were to go just to like, if you were to go to, if we were to go to like refresh, I want to be able to refresh the rankings after each actual week. And so here it splits out into each bowl week. So you can see like bowl week 1 had 1 game, and then bowl week 2. It's doing this by date. It's not perfect, but I want to be able to refresh the rankings during the bowl season without having to wait until the bowl, like all the bowls are over, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why I did it that way. But I'm okay with it here being like all grouped together, so you can see all the bowl games here in one tab. But yeah, this is what the schedule looks like. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm just real excited to get this going next year. I'm still like looking for bugs and stuff. And I think one thing I'll add, if I can, is another tab that does like a better reveal. So like maybe I can click it and then it'll reveal like the top 25 teams. I think that would be cool because I want to do like a reveal. So like each week I'll live update the rankings on my YouTube channel. I think that'll be pretty cool. So that's pretty much what I want to do with it. But let me know if you got any ideas or anything like that. Open to adding any type of feature that people would want to see or find useful. So yeah, I think like eventually it would be cool to have this be like its own website or application or something, and people could input their own values for what they want in the rankings. So like you could basically edit my point system here. Like you can edit everything about the point system and just hit refresh. And so people could have their own, this could be like an interface where people have their own customized rankings, which would be cool. I have never seen anything out there that is quite like this, that people can just like plug and play and make their own rankings. So that's pretty cool. But let's kind of transition over to the other thing, because that's pretty much all I had to talk about with the college football stuff for now. Unless there's anything else. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. Basically, since the last time we spoke, I retroactively went back and like ran my rankings through all of these seasons so I could get the points for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, let's transition over. So this is my home Bitcoin mining dashboard that I built. The only thing I've changed about this since making the video on it is it was kind of running slow on my computer. I have like a really old Mac, and it was trying to log so many data points that it was super laggy. So I fixed that without losing any functionality. The chart looks a little different because it's not taking as many data points, but it's still taking enough to where you get the same chart pretty much. So I can see my averages over any period of time, and I only have a day and 18 hours of data so far, but this will go out to be a 7-day average. So you can see your 1 hour average, 12-hour average, 1 day average, and 7-day average of your hash rate. And I can switch between terahashes and gigahashes. You can have your miners down here, and then you can have this tab of your miners and kind of like sort them by however you want. So like how much power are they using, who's had the best share, what about the hash rate, or just manually. This is probably my favorite part, is I can pull in the last 30 versions of firmware for each miner that I have, and download the firmware and actually push the update. So if I go back to and you can actually do this from here as well. If I go back to my miner, I can actually change the settings of my miner from here, and I can restart it, or I can push new firmware. So I could download new firmware and then push it to the miners. And actually, right now, this is something we can do live. So right now, it's only allowing me to upload like a firmware. So like I could use these buttons and automatically push the firmware to the miner, but it only gives me that option for the latest firmware. And actually, let's take a better screenshot. I want to be able to have that option for all of the firmwares. So we're going to take that screenshot and we're going to give it to Claude here in a sec. And I just want the ability to do that. And then you also have a network tab. I added like the network difficulty here, the estimated time to a block based on my hash rate. You can see it's like 8,000 years. And then the last 10 mined blocks, we can refresh. Is there a new block? Not yet. Last 10 mined blocks, your fees on the network, and then a hash rate chart. So that's pretty cool. But let's go to Claude real quick and tell him that we want to be able to push the firmware from any firmware version. I don't want to just use the I just want to look up the I want to be able to push any firmware version. I'm literally just using like the chat interface with Sonnet 4.6. So let's go to this guy here. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to give it, because sometimes it doesn't actually iterate on the most up-to-date file. So I'm going to give it the most up-to-date file, and I'm going to give it this screenshot. And I'm going to say, it looks like right now we only have the ability to push the most up-to-date firmware directly to the miners, but I want to be able to have that upload option for all 30 firmware versions we have in our dashboard. I want this for BitX and NMX firmwares. So let's see what he says about this. All right, so looks like it made a change to have that. So it looks like that was an easy fix. Again, I'm not a coder, but this has been pretty groundbreaking for me to be able to build stuff. Because, like, I'm not at all, like, a computer science person at all. Would not be able to build anything like this without Claude. So let's do a little refresh. I named the file wrong. That's why I can't see it. Dashboard, tabs, working is what my proxy server is looking for. So let's refresh that real quick. Bang. All right, so we're back. The hash rate fix looks to still, that was a fix that I did. It was calculating the average hash rate wrong. So let's go back to the updates, and now it should have, so now it gives me the option to directly upload. See how easy that was? Now I have the option to directly upload each of those. And it should be the same for this little Chinese BitX. Yeah. Bang. There it is. Cool. So we fixed that live. That's cool. Okay, just real quick. I actually added this feature after I stopped recording. And this feature is a live reveal of the rankings. So you can see I'm running through the live rankings reveal just real quick to show you what it looks like. But I'm thinking that every day during the season, what I'm going to do is just do this week by week. So do like a rankings reveal every single week. I think that would be really cool. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. But I'm just going to let the rest of this rankings reveal play, and then it'll cut back to where my original recording continued on. But I think this is going to be a really cool feature, and it's going to be cool to reveal the rankings live each week during the season as well. So enjoy. Been doing a lot with this. Just kind of want to give an update where I'm at. I didn't really have anything else that I was feeling like I wanted to make a video about this week. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get back on the Bitcoin finance stuff soon. I want this channel to be about stuff other than just Bitcoin and even finance. I'm thinking I want to do some gardening stuff on the channel. I'm gonna start planting my garden here pretty soon for the spring. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do some of that on here as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Got any feedback? What would you like to see on either of these, but specifically the football rankings? Like, what features do you want that you think I can add? Yeah, let me know. See you later, guys.